Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of BlogChat. My name is Matt, and with me tonight is...
Lance again.
Hey, Lance.
Hello,
Good to
Matt.
see you, man. Hi.
You too. You too.
So, wow. We're live for all of 15 seconds, and I'm like, where's all the peoples? I know they're coming in. BlogChat again. So, we time shifted a little bit. Gabe and I went back in time last week, and we talked about making ghosts. And it's funny because I was in Sleepy Hollow that Friday, so I made some more ghosts.
Yeah.
And now
Totally
Lance,
jealous.
well, you get to go there next year, so
Yeah, like a whole year from now.
yep, yep. And now, how you doing, Eunice? Hi, Sue. Now we're going to talk about part two of our three-part blog post about light pollution. And Lance wrote a humdinger about what you can do if you didn't try to do the crazy stuff I did with filters and to do it with post processing.
Well, you did the humdinger with the filters. Jerry's in the house.
What's up, Jerry? We'll see. Hello, Eunice. Hello,
And
Sue.
hello, Sue.
And hello, Jerry. What's up? How you doing? All
Uh,
right. So Lance, why don't you warm us up?
right. Okay. So, as you guys in the house are regular followers of our blog, this is a three-part series. Matt did the first part a couple of weeks ago, testing out some different light pollution filters to kind of deal with the problem of light pollution in night photographs. And he kind of came to the conclusion or demonstrated that there are two main issues with light pollution. And one is unwanted color cast, usually in the sky, but sometimes in the foreground or the middle ground, depending on where the light sources are. And the other problem is the loss of dimmer stars because of scattered light reflecting off of the atmosphere wherever you happen to be. So that's the phenomenon. If you live in, say, Manhattan, and you can only see the moon and maybe two stars or two planets, that's because of light scatter from the ground level light filling up the sky and obscuring the stars. So, even out in national parks, we run into this problem in parks that are near urban areas. So the light pollution filters that Matt used were designed for eliminating the color cast, the yellow color cast from sodium vapor lights. And they also did a pretty good job at increasing the contrast in the sky and bringing out some of the dimmer stars that were not visible without the filter.
I was surprised.
Yeah, they were. Now, the too long didn't read version for getting rid of that is the filters work pretty well for making the dim stars appear.
Right.
But if they're not in your picture, there's no amount of post-processing that is going to bring them back.
Right.
If they're just barely there a little bit, you can use the dehaze slider, and that will emphasize the ones that are there. So in this post that I wrote about post-processing, it's more about dealing with unwanted color cast. And, well, as you can see there's a little bit of a color cast. And this image is not one that here, if I was going to post-process this image to deal with the light pollution color cast, black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of the light in there is sodium vapor.
Mm-hmm.
Or 99% of the light is sodium vapor, and has a limited visual light spectrum. It's that narrow band of yellow and orange light that comes through, and that's about all there is. But let's point out here, most of the lights in this scene are high pressure sodium vapor, and they have a strong, they're about 2000 Kelvin in color temperature, and mostly yellow-orange. They're pretty hard to correct for. They're far more common then the intensely yellow lights to the left of those cables there,
Right.
those are low pressure sodium vapor lights that are used only in specialized applications. And anyway,
And
as
this guy,
oh
who's this
yeah,
blue one?
that's a metal halide light, which is a more modern version of the mercury vapor light. So all of these lights, the different types of sodium vapor and the mercury vapor and metal halide lights, are what's called gas discharge lights. So electric current is passed through a gas that's enclosed in a bulb, and it glows a particular color. But they were commonly used because they're more efficient than incandescent or tungsten or old school lights like that. But they're obviously being phased out pretty quickly now that LED lights are becoming the dominant light in just about all of our, everywhere.
Yep.
So we kind of talked about that being, perhaps in some ways the demise of night photography, because it makes everything more uniform and a little bit more boring.
You know what? I'm going to argue that it's not the demise of night photography. It's just not the same. There's going to be different challenges. It's
okay,
it's not as romantically different or challenging as it was for us.
It takes some of the surreal nature of urban night photography and mixed lighting.
Oh yeah,
and it makes it more like daytime photography.
Yeah,
the light is more natural and more realistic, and you don't, So if you want that, exotic, dramatic, multicolored lighting, you've got to create it.
Bring your own lights.
I know you're a fan of that, Matt.
I do like doing that. It's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Indeed. All right. So,
you pointed out two conundrums. I guess if you said it already, it bears repeating. That there's two conundrums. One is unwanted color casts in the clouds or the sky, which we both observed, and then stray light that obscures the stars in our images. So yeah. I guess my filters did take care of that, but it ate about a stop of light too, and that was annoying. So.
Right, and if that's worth pointing out too, because if you're doing astro-landscape photography where you're shooting at 6400 ISO and f2 or 2.8, and you're bumping up against the 400 rule or the NPF rule, you don't really have a stop to give away.
Correct.
So.
Yep.
It's all about compromises, right?
Oh, always.
Everything, every decision that you make, it's like which of these is more important to hang on to? Which one do I let go of?
Especially during post-processing. So that leads us to your first example, right?
Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at this one. Okay, so this was in Olympic National Park at Shai Beach, very remote. This was a backpacking trip, and we hiked out there. But on the north end of the beach, we're looking up towards Vancouver Island. Mm-hmm. And somewhere on that very large island is the city of Victoria, which apparently still has a lot of sodium vapor lights.
Right.
And while we were there, it was unfortunately continuously cloudy and pretty low cloud cover. So all the lights from Victoria were bouncing off of the sky and creating that crazy yellow glow there.
It's still kind of beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, and you could. There's a point to be made here that you could set this color to wherever you wanted it to be, and there's not really a right or a wrong answer.
Right.
In the immortal words of our president, it is what it is.
Next. So
okay.
the adjustments that you made.
Yes. So the adjustments that I made on this one were really started off quite basically, minimally. I had been shooting at 3850 Kelvin because that's what I generally use in a moonless landscape environment. And for when I was shooting out over the Pacific Ocean to the west, that worked out great. But when I turned my camera to the north and started shooting up this way, I got this yellow. Now, mind you, when we were looking up that way, we could not perceive that yellow with our eyes. It was too dim to really see that color with our bare eyes. Matt, would you scroll down so we could see the exposure on this one?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So this is what,
693
11
seconds.
11 and a half minutes at 800 ISO. So you can tell it's eight. Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Yeah.
So anyway, I didn't change my white balance. I did adjust the white balance in post-processing, and that got rid of the yellow pretty well. You'll notice there's this blue band at the water's edge there. That was bioluminescent plankton, which was really cool to see.
Wow, I remember them.
Yes, pretty neat. So we got rid of the yellow cast, but there's still a lot of red and purple and magenta in the sky above that red light on the hill there. I tried to get rid of all of that in the sky without eliminating the red altogether around the light. But, there's really too much to do that effectively.
Right.
So I started out with the HSL panel in Lightroom, and I used the targeted adjustment tool, and I put it in the clouds where I saw the red and the purple and the magenta, and just started scrolling down and eliminating those colors based on where the targeted adjustment tool was placed. And if I took it too far, the sky would just get gray and blotchy. And eventually, if you do it all the way, then that red light on the hill becomes just a white light.
Right.
So that would have probably been okay. I also tried using a local adjustment brush in the sky around that red light, because I did want to leave the red halo around the light source itself. And again, I ended up with a desaturated gray area that took out all the color, and it just wasn't going to work to remove all of it. So the takeaway from this image was you're probably not going to get rid of all of the light pollution, but you want to have and if you do, it's probably not going to look believable or realistic. And that's what I was going for. I wanted an image that, I kind of like that little punctuation of that little bit of red in there. I just didn't like the murkiness in the sky.
I feel you.
So yeah, find a spot where it's comfortable, where you get rid of most of it, but it doesn't look fake.
Yes. Now, I'm going to point out here, folks, that if you go to the blog post and if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that there's a YouTube video there. This YouTube video is, almost 18 minutes long, and it goes into a lot of detail. So if you want to go into the play-by-play with Lance, this is more of a summary. We can ask questions now for those of you who have seen it. Please drop them in the chat right now. And if you saw something that you wanted a little bit more illumination on, pun fully intended, please let us know in the comments. But you can take a real deep dive into all of the care that Lance put into recording and explaining how he did this.
And the care that Matt put into editing the video for me, making up for all the...
We're just doing what we love, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
next.
So, Ovro,
right.
huh?
Yeah, so I've shot here with Ken. I know Ken's in the house there tonight.
That's right. Oh, let's take a quick break to say hello. So we have Ken saying hello. Hi, Ken. And
Jay was here a couple of weeks ago. Hey, Barry.
Carol.
And Paul, hello.
Ken said he's okay with bringing his own light. We know. We've seen your pictures, man.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Suzanne.
And then the Fix really handles the red light well. Yes. Yes. No. There we go. So we got some comments. Keep them coming, folks. We like to know what's on your mind. So take me back to Ovro.
Yes, this is the Owens Valley Radio Observatory. in the Eastern Sierra, and a really fun place to shoot. So this is the before image. And as you can see, there is sodium vapor glow along the horizon. And there's also a little bit of sodium vapor glow on that radio dish in the foreground there.
Right.
So this one was pretty easy to work on. And it was a simple matter of using the HSL panel in Lightroom and putting the targeted adjustment tool at the horizon in the area that you wanted to change, that I wanted to change, which was that yellow bit right above the sky. And just scrolling down, and that takes everything, and you can see the sliders, the yellow and orange sliders are moving to the left. And that's the advantage to using that little targeted adjustment tool rather than moving the sliders manually or individually, because you with that tool, it's taking whatever colors are in that spot and moving them, all the related sliders proportionate to the amount of color in the image. Whereas if you're doing it manually one at a time, you're just, you're moving, you could be removing more orange than yellow or more yellow than orange. Either way works, but I find the targeted adjustment tool to be more precise. Now, you'll also notice that it took the yellow out of the dish in the foreground, which was okay with me. So basically, I was just desaturating the yellow and orange, not completely, but just enough to get that sky looking more natural. Notice it's still brighter at the horizon, but it's not glowing, like the sun's coming up. And that's what I was going for. The red stays the same, the blues and the greens and the sky stay the same.
Yep.
But the sodium goes away.
We got questions.
Yeah, that is, I believe it was also 3850.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense.
Right.
And that's about what the sky would look like.
Right. Thanks, Peoria. And then Eunice.
Ooh.
We'll go away from the blog post for this one.
Yeah. Oh, Eunice, I don't remember what workshop you signed up for. I think it was Joshua Tree. Well, if you ever take one from me, the red headlights are not forcefully, but they're banned for that very reason, and they just bleed all over the place, as you found out. Yeah, so you could use the HSL sliders, but if there's anything else in the image that's red, then you're going to lose that too.
Right.
And so it would be a combination. If it's limited to the foreground, you can do selective desaturation with a local adjustment brush. You can use the HSL sliders, saturation and luminance to the desired effect. But you're probably, if you've got red headlights, in your foreground, it's probably going to be hard to get rid of it completely.
There's two ways. One is preventative, and that's to ask the people around you to please discontinue the use of them politely. And the other way is go black and white. It's just right. There's just no way to get rid of that red light.
Yeah, it's so saturated.
It kills contrast too. It's terrible.
Yeah. We've had people with images ruined because the little red light on their intervalometer was facing forward into the scene, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, completely.
Especially in an astro-landscape environment where you're really dark.
Yeah.
Super high ISOs.
It's a good question, Eunice. So good luck. I hope it didn't affect too many images.
Yeah. If you are, if you're shooting in moonlight conditions at 100 ISO and longer exposures, it's usually not with moonlight.
Right.
It's not as much of a problem, but 6400 f2.
Yep.
Bad. Yeah. Red light bad.
Good stuff. All right. Good question. And yes, 6400 picks up the red very quick.
It sure does.
Yeah, it's insidious. Insidious. And we agree. All right. So
Okay. Let's go into Lawson.
Yeah. I really want to go to Lawson.
Yeah, I want to go back and climb this volcano again.
Crazy.
Okay. So this one is a similar situation to the last scene, except the light on the foreground in this case is Chris and I with our Luxleys held up on boom arms over our heads, walking up and back and forth along the rim of the volcano. But in this case, if I use the HSL slider to get rid of that orange glow on the horizon, it would also desaturate the colors in the cone of the volcano. And that I did not want. So in this case, it's a local adjustment brush with the desaturate slider. So I just swipe that local adjustment brush across the horizon, put a good feather on it, and there you can see there's the mask. I don't remember if I used the range mask to take it off the foreground or not, but it's pretty dark along there.
Yep.
Oh, I'm so smart. Yeah, look at
that. You've been doing things the same way twice.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah. So there we go. Pick the color with the range mask tool, and that notice how the green mask goes off of the foreground there, or off of the mountain range. Add another spot to get rid of that different color right there where it was brightest. And our mask is set. And now go in and move the saturation slider down, but not all the way. And again, just like before, we're going for a believable and realistic looking image, not complete removal.
Right.
Now, I could also reduce the luminance of those channels, and that would take some of the glow away. But you know what? I kind of like the glow at the horizon. It separates the sky from the distant mountains.
Yep. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. I love this edit. It's so graceful. Yeah. Yeah.
That was
do this. Could do this.
Yeah, you love the slider, don't you? No. that was such an awesome night up there. Wow. One of my favorites. Oh, and yeah, hey, one more thing on there. Let me just point out. You'll notice in the upper right-hand corner is Jupiter, and in the lower left is Mars, and right over the Milky Way, just about, I don't know, a third of the way up the horizon in the middle of the Milky Way, down, 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 to your left, right there. Yeah, that's Saturn right there.
Wow.
So we have this planetary alignment right there spanning across the Milky Way.
Wow.
That was cool.
I mean, that's cool. I felt cool that I got the moon and Mars earlier this week, but this is wow.
Yeah, and that was at a point when Mars was at its perigee, its closest point in its orbit to Earth, in something like 7 years. So it was super bright. It was even brighter than Jupiter.
Wow. Cool, man.
Yeah. All right. So, urban night photography.
Right.
Suzanne might recognize this location. Oh, hey, there's Sandra jumping in. She was up there with Gabe and I, not with me and Chris, at the Lawson Cinder Cone.
Oh, right. Right.
Climbed it once. Oh, come on. You'll know you do it again.
Like Great Sand Dunes. Yep.
Ooh, that's tougher. That's tougher than the Cinder Cone because it's more 2 steps back.
Right.
Okay, so this is Lowell, Massachusetts, an area that I shot quite a bit along, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. I really was racing to photograph these old mills while they were being renovated, and Lowell was transforming from this old dilapidated mill town into, becoming gentrified. But but they brought it back to life, and that's a cool thing. But the mills were certainly a lot more fun to photograph when they were falling down than after they were all prettied up. So anyway, the issue here, we've got a moonlit night, a clear sky, and a lot of sodium vapor light pollution. Now, how can I tell there's moonlight here other than, 15 years ago, I wouldn't remember if it was cloudy or moonlit or whatever when I was shooting, but the sky is not black. It's got a lot of color to it. So if we were outside of the sphere of this artificial light, it would be a blue sky. But you've got the blue sky mixed with the sodium vapor glow, and you get this purple magenta cast. So in this one, the fix was, this is the image out of camera, and the first thing I did was I took the eyedropper tool in the white balance, and I clicked on the sidewalk there to neutralize the sidewalk and kind of set the white balance where I wanted it to be. And did a few other adjustments in there. Yeah, there you go. So use the eyedropper tool and then did a manual readjust with the slider there. Next, we've got a gradient across the sky. And what I want to do is take that magenta cast out of the sky. So again, I'm using the color range mask here to make a selection of the area that I want to pick those colors. And you can see that the mask is not including the sidewalk because I didn't really want to I didn't want to change that sidewalk anymore because I'd already set that where I wanted it to be. Okay, so we picked the mask, and I'm just moving the tint slider to get rid of the magenta, and then adding a little bit of blue on the color temperature. And it's just cooked to taste, right? You set this wherever you want it. There's not really a right or a wrong white balance here.
Right.
And that was it. Okay. Matt, we are negating the need for people to watch the video.
No, we're not. We are amplifying the video's experience.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, this is everybody's here because they want to be, right? I'm here because I get to move the slider back and forth.
Yes, we know.
Guys, look at that. That's amazing. That's amazing. I know I sound like a cheerleader, but I truly am amazed about how the brick stays natural, but the rest of the sky becomes more of what we typically want the night sky to look like. It's remarkable.
I like Suzanne's comment there. Something to be said for purple. Oh, Suzanne, I have to send you a picture of my house because it is seriously purple. And I will do that when we're done here. All right. So even though this says Lawrence Manufacturing Company, we're still in Lowell. For some reason, they decided to set up their knit fabric factory in the wrong town. Either that or they named it the wrong thing. Either that or they had a subsidiary in Lowell and the main factory in Lawrence. I don't know. Anyway, so here, let's see. This image was shot on the same night as the other one. And we've got, this is a good one. This is a different scenario because we've got overall sodium vapor glow, and that's what creates that purple in the sky and the yellow on the smokestacks. But locally in the foreground, that you notice the light is kind of cyan or bluish green. And that is because when this building had been converted into condos, believe it or not, and they lit the parking area with metal halide lights. This is pre-LED. And they have this blue-green, much cooler color temperature than the sodium lights. So again, the sky is overall got that sodium vapor glow, and locally on the foreground we've got the metal halide lights. So the start here was to set the white balance by taking the eyedropper tool and clicking on the clouds. So I wanted to neutralize the color in the clouds. Click, and that gets rid of all the purple by adding the opposite color, which is green. And when you add that green, it magnifies or amplifies the metal halide on the building. So we solve one problem and create another. But that's what I went with. I started with the eyedropper, the white balance on the sky, and then took a local adjustment brush and selected the facade of the building because I knew that was going to be a pretty easy masking selection. And then what did I do here? I believe, I just desaturated this. So I'm making a few adjustments to the mask here just to clean up the mask. There we go. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Maybe take the, there we go, the amount slider, and we'll get rid of that. Okay. And now because that building is basically just a black and white paint with black lettering, I started off using the hue slider to adjust that, and didn't quite like the results I was getting there. I believe I ended up just using saturation instead. Yeah. So I desaturated the side of the building, took that cyan cast out of there, and that was it.
And then it looked like this. It's amazing. The video compresses the images just a little bit, so it's nice to see the final, in their glory, compressed for the web JPEGs. Wow, gorgeous, gorgeous. All right, so now we get to tell everybody there was a video. No.
A 20-minute video to go with the hour-long blog chat.
Yes,
it recaps the same thing. Yeah, so if you missed that, you can go to the blog page and watch the video. Ooh, lovely frame you captured there, Matt.
Yeah, if you're not one of the 271 people who have seen it so far, or if you want to watch it again, we highly recommend going there and watching it.
But you don't get to watch Matt go back and forth with a slider,
right? That's what you tuned in for. So
no doubt.
Right.
Okay. So so now, yes, let's talk about solution 3, which actually happened this past weekend. This post was 2 weekends ago, and just this past weekend was part 3, where Chris wrote the post that I really wanted to do myself, which was live with it, baby. Right?
Right. Right. It's called embracing it. Embracing your boundaries and making them a strength.
Yeah. Or if you can't beat them, join them. That kind of. Attitude.
Right. Yeah. First place I heard it.
So anyway, in this past week's blog post, Chris shows some great examples of how to work with light pollution,
right.
And to understand that it can make a photograph better rather than being the enemy of it.
Truth.
So it really kind of depends on what you're looking for, what your goals are.
Right. I see a question that I really want to dig into right now. Suzanne asked, do all these nifty new Lightroom tools cause you to go back to loads of older images and redo them?
Oh, yeah. Well, as far as this blog post was concerned, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those images were, quite old, especially those Lowell images. They were from several years ago. So yeah, I went back and deconstructed those images and reprocessed them in the context of doing the blog post. But it was also neat to see how I could approach them now with, the current version of Lightroom as opposed to, what Lightroom 2 or 3 or whatever was available when the original ones were shot. They were so old. Those Lowell images were shot on a 5D Mark I. Yeah, 12 megapixel.
Wow. I just handled my D700 for the first time in a while. I still haven't.
Did it power on?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the same one that came back after being stolen. So no. Good question, Suzanne. Yes, I also go back sometimes when I see a new tool. I'll be like, oh, I don't necessarily need to shoot something to test that because the catalog is so deep, and I have a pretty good memory for the colors that happened. So yeah, it's fun to go back and do that.
But I think the best part of doing that is going back through your catalog that you haven't looked at, images you haven't looked at for years, and finding a hidden gem.
Yeah.
Or finding something that you had given up on or written off years ago because the tools weren't available to deal with the post-processing.
Right. It's way better than your friends from high school posting old pictures from high school.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Which is happening to me right now. There's a fit of nostalgia going on. So, Ken, did you see the Purple House?
I must have sent him a picture.
Okay.
Although it wasn't the background of an Instagram live that Gabe and I did.
Oh, that's right.
I was sitting out in the backyard with the house in the background.
Right. Well, I'm going to take a quick break and say, hey, folks, thank you so much. If you're tuning in now, please hit that like button. We'd appreciate it. Let us know that this was valuable to you. If you didn't like it, let us know. That's okay. We're adults. We can take it. We want your feedback. Yeah, and if this is the first time you're experiencing us and you liked it, subscribe. We'd like to see you again.
Yep. And if you have any night photography topics that you would like us to address in a blog post, put those in the comments as well, and we'll add it to our list.
Yes, we have a long list of things that we want to write about, make videos about, learn about, teach about. But knowing what you want to do is really important to us too. In fact, it's very helpful. It's more important sometimes than the things we're curious about. So let us know.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
All right. So Eunice says she still has her D700. Was a workhorse. It really was.
Oh, that was the camera that started the astro-landscape photography revolution.
So true. So true. We'll have to do a nostalgia post about the D700.
Sandra, yes. Thank you.
What'd she say?
She said, more history chats.
More history chats. There we go. Good. Yes. Well, I love those too.
Too.
I love sitting under Lance's learning tree when he's talking about the old greats. So.
Oh man, so I had a history of night photography lecture that I did for the School of Visual Arts a few years ago on my own personal YouTube channel, and somebody commented the other day, incredibly boring video. But history. Not everybody likes history, right?
They took the time to comment, which means they watched it.
Right. Well, at least 5 minutes of the hour-long lecture, anyway.
Thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it.
Right. Yeah. I enjoy writing those.
Oh, yeah. Sue asked a really important question. Another one popped in there. Where do we send questions? So you can do it a number of ways. You can leave it as a comment on any of these videos, on any of our blog posts, or you can send it to adventure@nationalparksatnight.com, our email. And I'll pop that up on the banner right now so everybody can see it. And I'll put it in the chat too.
Jason.
They can't see it. They can't see it.
Oh, okay. Well, yes. Jason said he's seen that video twice and loved it and only fell asleep once.
Oh. So I'm going to drop it here. Send requests and comments to... Oh my gosh. You guys shouldn't let me type because I'm just terrible at it. Typing's not the first thing that
National
I learned.
PRKs at night.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
See?
You gotta get...
See, this is why you should never let me type.
National epics.
Yeah, there we go. This is bad. So I'm going to put myself in a timeout right now. I can't delete it. It says stop. Oh my gosh. This is funny. Okay, guys. Okay. So, you know how to spell our domain, right?
Yes.
Tippity tap tap tap. I think it's right now. Yes. Okay, I'll have that one ready for next time. Hey.
Yeah, and in case you're wondering,
Yes.
npan.com was not available when we started this operation.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, we only
So,
used NPAN as an internal referencer. We used that because it was shorter than saying National Parks at Night all the time. You get
we
it. I
still
know
have
you
to type
understand.
National Parks at Night every time.
Yes, yes. But NPAN, we have npan.co as our link shortener, though. So,
Yeah.
oi.
Maybe we could offer $20 or something for npan.com.
You said calm, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And my ears, they're clogged. I just. Right.
Send them a message and see if they'll take $20 for it.
Hey, Sandra, this is not comedy. This is just Tuesday. Just Tuesday.
This is just BlogChat.
This is just BlogChat. This is the edge. Anybody got the fish reference there? Yeah. All right. Keep the comedy coming. Keep the comments coming. We appreciate you. Lance, do you have anything else you want to add? Any more insights that you've had since publishing this?
I wanted to ask you, aren't you developing a new online class that's going to be coming up soon?
I am.
Will do tell.
I am actually looking forward to launching it very soon. So any of you who last week indicated interest and are still interested, I wrote down some names, but you can use the right email address or the one that's here to send interest. So I am doing a virtual night portraiture class. I've been working out the syllabus, and it's looking like it's going to be about 5 or 6 weeks long. And it's going to be a new style of class for us. And it's a little bit early for me to be talking about what it is, but I'll just say that it'll be very stimulating and less lecture-y. It'll be more getting you to move outside of some of your comfort zones and to think and train yourself to see in different ways in order to expand or gain a skill in night portraiture. And that's really the way that I'm designing the education right now. It was with that spirit. It's just not like, let me spit out all my thoughts on a page. I'm going to challenge you to grow. And that's the way that I'm approaching this. So if you're interested in learning night portraiture and you're interested in approaching it that way, send us an email to adventure@nationalparksatnight.com. We'll get you guys in the first cohort, and you guys can take the first version of this class with me. So
I want to do that.
You do?
Will there be assignments?
Yeah. Oh, totally. There's assignments. There's feedback. It's gonna be a fun way to learn. I guarantee you that.
Cool.
Yep.
All right.
Nope, we did not time out, Sue. Sorry, but you can watch it on the replay. So, all right. So thank you for interest. Thanks for asking, Lance. We are going to have our Instagram live show this week too. Gabe hasn't announced what it is, so it's a little bit of a surprise. So tune in tomorrow night on Instagram for National Parks at Night, and Gabe will be interviewing somebody. All right.
Thanks, everybody. Matt, thanks as always for hosting and making this run.
Oh, it's fun. We love you guys. We miss you, and we will see you hopefully soon at a workshop, if not online or email, or out staring at the same stars at night. Until next time.
Good night, everybody. Thanks.
Good night.